Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today let's go over the market. Let's see what happened. Today, of course, being the first day of the week. So, I guess happy first day of the week. I think we have an interesting week ahead of us, and then interesting, honestly, next even like full month or so ahead of us, being all of October and into November. I think will be quite interesting days because, honestly, I'm kind of glad that we're not up here anymore because it felt like when I was up here, or we were up here rather, how I was just pretty much like permanently bearish. I kept permanently telling people, I'm like, guys, watch out, it's gonna crash. Guys, watch out, it's gonna crash. And it kept going up slightly. And I'm like, guys, just please watch out, it's gonna crash. And it felt bad just to pretty much have to repeat the same thing over and over again. Because like I said, it is gonna crash, and it did, right? Because it's gonna happen. It was just a matter of when, not if, right? So that's kind of why I kept doing that. But now that we're finally, somewhere in a level that, makes a bit more sense, I guess. I still think it's gonna go lower ultimately. I do want to make that very clear. But because we're at a level where I don't have to permanently just being like, yeah, we're gonna crash, watch out, guys, because we're at a level where we can actually start talking about proper bounces, and proper bullish setups or like short-term bullish setups and things like that. I think it's gonna be a lot more fun. So either way, guys, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. Tesla ending the day green, actually up 0.25% at 276 and 1 cent. Compared to the market, Tesla actually outperforming. It pretty much outperformed the entire day. The market itself, like SPY, you can see just continuing to sell off, QQQ continuing to sell off, not showing the greatest pressure, buying pressure, and not really showing, the most bullish looking candles, in my opinion, just yet either. So not great. And the VIX on top of that is looking quite good, actually. So you can see the VIX kind of rallied up past this area, got rejected at this line, came back, retested the breakout of the red line pretty much perfectly. Like literally perfectly. I didn't even move the line. And yeah, and that, it's that's not good for the market. Let's just say that. But we'll see what happens, of course, ladies and gentlemen. So let's just get into it. So the first thing I want to quickly talk about is on the shorter time frame, right? So the general consensus, I did say that Tesla will get a short-term rally, and we got that in the morning, right? This was a short-term rally right here for sure, which I did de-risk my positions a little bit, and then I entered one more over here. Now, I do want to make a bullish position. I do want to make it clear that, I am setting up myself in a position where regardless of where the market goes, whether it goes up or down from here, I'm able to play it. And I personally think I'm able to prosper both ways. I don't really care that much, right? That's just the way I'm setting myself up, or at least trying to. But we're in a situation where, my cat's meowing. We can definitely go both ways. Like we can go up or down. I know that's kind of a mean thing to say, but, the more important thing is, what is going to make us go up or what is going to make us go down? That's the thing that we want to figure out, and what I want to talk to you guys about here. So I am a little bit more thief. My cat's meowing, sorry. I don't know if you guys can hear her. I am slightly more bullish than bearish. I'll be completely honest with you in this like short-term movement coming up. But to kind of clarify as to what I think might happen next, and kind of what may cause that to happen, what levels are important to keep an eye out. Thief, she keeps meowing. Is essentially breaking certain levels. For instance, if Tesla breaks under, so there's two key levels I want you guys to pay attention to. The first one being this kind of like 275-ish level. And the reason for that is quite simple. What I see right now on the 5-minute chart, the 15-minute chart, whatever chart you want to look at it, we'll do 5-minute, I guess, for now. It doesn't matter really too much. Is a potential inverted head and shoulders. Now, this works on the micro sense because it's off of the short-term move that we just had to the downside, right? This whole movement right here to the downside. So we potentially have an inverted head and shoulders setting up on Tesla, right? This being the head, this being the shoulder, and this being essentially the second shoulder setting up right here. So that right there is going to be a bullish setup. So essentially, as long as Tesla doesn't really go too far into the space of the head over here, which essentially is going to be around this like 275 to 274 level. As long as that general level holds, and we don't fall much lower than that at all, like ideally we want to hold 275, but 274-ish is okay as well. So as long as that holds, I'm personally bullish. And especially as long as this kind of general like 272-ish level holds as well, or 73 rather. Kind of like that general level. As long as that holds, I'm feeling bullish, and I think, we can definitely make a move up higher. At the very least, to come up in gap fill over here, being almost at 290, right? That's essentially what I'm seeing right there. On top of that, you also definitely want to be seeing a break past something like, 283, 284. If you break past that, that's pretty much almost guaranteed that we'll make our way close to this gap fill, if not literally gap fill itself. So that's kind of what you want to be looking at for both sides there, right? Now, if you go over to the 15-minute chart, you can see how it is setting up some bullish divergences. Let's go to the 30-minute, because again, as I said, the longer time frame, the more convincing it is. So even on the 30-minute, which I think is where it starts to get a little convincing, is the fact that Tesla, you can see the RSI, beautiful swing up on this green over here. And even though this stock went back down to these levels over here, which was, us trading on the RSI around 25, we went nowhere near that over here. The RSI is holding extremely strong, which to me is showing that the sellers are losing pressure, selling pressure, and that the buyers are actually potentially going to be starting to step in here and kind of gain a bit of momentum back, which is kind of what I'm potentially seeing happen, which is good. On top of that, over here, when we were trading back at like 290, the RSI was again also sitting around 29 to 30, and now we're of course lower than that, but the RSI is sitting way above that, right? And the thing is the beautiful thing is the fact that on the 1 hour it shows the same thing. The 2 hour, it's starting to show it, right? It's not as like obvious as like the 1 hour. The 1 hour you can quite clearly see it right here, beautiful looking setup. Even the 1 hour setting up like a potential inverted head and shoulders on the RSI. But then as you get over to the 2 hour, it is starting to show it. Don't get me wrong, it is definitely starting to show it, but it's just not as convincing, right? The 3 hour, the 4 hour, it's definitely starting to show some signs of it, and it's starting to kind of form. It's just not as convincing just yet, which is why, again, it wouldn't super shock me to go down a little bit lower still. Like, again, if we do go lower, I don't want to make this very clear. The first key level to pay attention to is 267-ish, this level right here. And if we go lower than that, I would personally be looking around between 262 to 256. I personally think the realistic worst case scenario for this week to fall even lower, personally, I think anywhere between this 260 to like 256 area, I think is the realistic worst case scenario. I do think it can happen. I'm not saying it can't. I definitely think it's a possibility, but I think that's a realistic worst case scenario. But again, not financial advice. Make your own decisions. Do your own research. Whatever. I think this zone right here, personally, if we fall there, especially this week, is going to be a great place to accumulate for the bounce. Again, I want to make this extremely clear. This is just for the bounce that I believe will happen, whether it's happening just from here right now. We'll just bounce up straight to potentially gap fill at this, maybe even go up as close to maybe 300 if we're lucky. Maybe I run up into AI day and then like a sell off after, who knows. Or if we do make a lower low first and go a little bit lower, if the market wants to do that as well. So for instance, if like the SPY wants to break these lows over here, let's go on the 30-minute, right? So if the SPY, for instance, wants to like break down below here, like essentially this like 363 level, then we will go lower, things like that. If that's what the market wants to do, then, Tesla most likely will follow, and that's not going to be great, of course. Don't get me wrong. That's, not fantastic news. But I definitely think it's out of the picture. But if that were to happen and we do break those levels and we do make our way lower and we come out to this level again, anywhere between 267 to 257, I guess, I personally think that range right there is great range to accumulate. Again, not financial advice. Make your own decisions. I could be completely wrong. I want you guys to make your own decisions, right? Don't follow what I'm saying. Incorporate it into your own thoughts. I could be completely wrong. However, I personally believe, and personally what I would be doing is, accumulating in this area, which I will, if we get there, especially this week. And then I'll play the bounce into October, which I think we'll still get as well, up until like the second half to like the third quarter of October, where I think we're going to start making an even lower low and really start plummeting pretty much almost as hard as we did here recently in the market. Essentially, again, more or less is what I think would happen. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. So it's a bit hard to say for sure what's going to happen next, right? It's hard to say for sure we'll bounce here or for sure we'll go lower. Like, it's extremely difficult. That's why you want to pay attention to those levels that I just mentioned and see what happens and where that takes us. Again, to make it more clear, I do see a bullish pattern setting up, being an inverted head and shoulders on the 15-minute chart. If this holds and we essentially don't break below 275-ish, that's great, and I think that we can make our way higher. If we do break below that, then we definitely want to make sure we hold this like 273-ish area. And if that breaks, then we're probably going to be coming around to this area over here that I just highlighted. That could potentially be a great area to accumulate shares for the potential bounce. Which, if we do come down here, essentially what I would see happening on the fairly short term, I guess, like maybe a couple of weeks or so, is, again, assuming we come down here somewhere in this general area, I think we'll bounce off of here, probably come back up here, and then make our way lower. That's just like the rough example of what I personally can see happening. Again, or we could just come bounce from straight this general area. We can potentially hold this inverted head and shoulders. And if we do, then we could potentially, like I said, bounce up to the gap fill at the very least, if not maybe even close to 300. Pretty much coming up to the top of this channel potentially, which will pretty much put us almost at 300. That's another possibility. I just want to make that very clear. At this point in time, I can't say for certain with a high probability as to whether or not as to whether or not we go down first and then bounce, or we just bounce from here. It's extremely hard to say. However, those are the levels I will pay attention to. That's kind of what I'm seeing. The RSIs are starting to set up some bullish divergences. However, on the longer time frames, they're still not fully set in stone yet, which is why I wouldn't be surprised if we do go lower. So for instance, as an example, let's say in the 3 hour, if we do come over here and let's say go lower, and let's say as an example, we come down to like this 267-ish level, between 267 to 262. Let's say we come down to one of these levels. Ideally, what I would want to see is this RSI to not come lower than this 27 level. Maybe we'll come down to like, let's say 28, right? And even though the stock made a lower low here, the RSI did not. And that would also start setting up a bullish divergence on the longer time frames, which would then even further solidify the fact that, yeah, I think we're really going to get a nice bounce here for the next couple of weeks. Like I showed you guys that seasonality chart that, you know, shows that the first half of October is going to be similar to the first half of September, where we get a nice little bit of a rally, you know, some bullishness into a massive collapse, not shortly after, not long after. That's kind of what I'm seeing. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help quite a bit. And yeah, good luck to everyone trading. Good luck to everyone making plays. It's a wild market. So, you know, again, not financial advice, but my opinion, at least, you know, just my opinion. Don't get too greedy. Don't get caught. Easiest way to like blow up is just being too greedy, thinking you can time some move here and, you know, being like, yeah, I'm the greatest. I will time this perfectly. And then you blow up your account and then you look back forever and think, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have been an idiot. Just, you know, food for thought. Take it as you will. Completely ignore it if you want. Couldn't care less. It's your money. But either way, let me know what you guys think down below. See you tomorrow. Peace.